But in these 40
True.
years, like it usually happens, both the governments and the civic society have soft pedaled and put emergency response on the back burner, which is so ironical. So what when Dr. Glenn Martin shared the legislation, which I earlier found out in my search, but he shared all the details and the background to it. I said that we must put it in the forefront, and especially after the COP30 fiasco, in Belgium, Brazil, in December, we are on a high alert. May I request all uh, participants to please switch on their video so that we have proper video as we are
Yeah.
recording this.
Chandra
So
Venkat has joined from Hyderabad.
yeah, hello Venkat. Yeah, okay. Sky, could you please switch on your video also? So what happens is that in 1985, this is a very high-powered event. It's inaugurated by the then President of India, Gyani Zail Singh, and the Speaker of the Parliament, Balram Jakhar, is also present. We also have a video footage of that. Now, there have been significant role of Indians right from the conceptualization of campaign for global governance after the Second World War. Um, there is one Mr. Mudaliar from state of Travancore who played a very pivotal role. And
Mm.
from the very beginning, when United Nations was formed, it was decided that within 10 years, there would be a
Mm.
reform to take away the veto powers and the permanent seats in the UN Security Council and to democratize the functioning of United Nations as a people's parliament. But like, we see in the case of reservations in India, which was again slated only for 10 years. This kept
Mm.
dragging due to the, but that has been stalled, for the past 70 years, since 1955, so
Mm.
these 70 years of stalling the democratization. And I have raised this issue at numerous forums, most recently at the IBSA forum, India, Brazil, South Africa trilateral meeting in New Delhi, just about
Mm.
a fortnight back, when
Okay.
Ambassador Kenneth of Brazil in India was there. The High Commissioner of South Africa in India, Ambassador Anil Suklal, was there. And
Mm.
one former Foreign Secretary, Sanjay Bhattacharya, was chairing the session. So I
Mhm.
said in that to a question asked by a lady journalist, that why is Article 6 not being implemented in case of repeat violators of UN Charter? And in that it came up that it is the veto powers which essentially stall, the very when functioning and following the UN Charter. So that state of affairs is become even more farcical with today's development of what is being called as the Board of Peace for Palestine. So,
Yeah.
there's a very famous quote by Lenin. It says, history repeats itself first as a tragedy and then as a farce. But I like to add to that when it repeats umpteen times, it turns into insanity.
Mm.
And we are
True.
absolutely in that, phase of insanity, though it is very unstable and very dissipative. So it's not going to stay for long. And this is the window of opportunity for us, for the civic society at large, who are very well connected across national boundaries on the digital public infrastructure. Nothing stops us. The opportunity is really not just knocking, it's banging at our doors. And if we fail, history will not forgive us. Each one of us individually who have the privilege to be on board. I'm not talking about, people who are living at subsistence levels, people who are not informed. But all of us
Mm.
cannot simply be excused. And none of the state actors will be excused. The younger generations, as push comes to shove, will be preparing for mass graves. Take it from me in writing, and we will truly regret that moment. Euthanasia has already been legalized in most parts of the world, including in India. Already, buzzwords like PASS, physician assisted suicide for elderly people, and MAID, medical assistance in dying, are buzzwords in Europe because of the Abraham Maslow hierarchy. Self actualization gets procrastinated. You end up chasing your physiological needs all your life. That's the brutality of the Western model. And that is what I was sharing my good friend Srinivas Irapotu, that Abraham Maslow actually borrowed and stole from an indigenous model called Blackfoot TP, which is the actual humanitarian model, which puts self actualization as the pivot of human existence, of human purpose, and not our physiological needs. Because even animals without any civilization are able to meet their physiological needs. Nature already provides for each one of us, including for humans. So, Sanjay, since you asked me to give you a big backdrop of where we are coming from, so after Prasad's presentation on his vision of Suraksha, and he shared a note on the Center for Excellence, which can create 1 million entrepreneurs. So, I'm trying to keep the balance of the philosophical and the high ground with the brass tacks of what do we do Monday morning. So, Prasad, over to you on how do you envisage that we can work towards peace, stability, and sustainability in collaboration between Suraksha and ViBES Global Alliance, as well as many other people who are already on board. They may not be present in the forum right now, but take my word, they are on board and they have spent more than 100 hours. People like Alexei Voronov, Vitaly Vasiliev, Pavel Katev in particular, Sky, my good friend Srinivas Kumar Yerapotu was there, physically present at the 16th Provisional World Parliament in Pondicherry, and he knows many of the people, how serious, how committed they are. From Dr. Glenn Martin to Dr. Rudolph to Leopoldo Cook, who is the Vice President of World Constitution and Parliament Association for Latin America and Caribbean, and he is a Venezuelan, and he has put already more than 10 Venezuelans who are sending us daily feed on the situation there. So, Prasad, rest assured that we may appear few in number, but let us make best of the opportunity we have, because we get more time and more room to express ourselves initially before a more bigger crowd joins in. So, over to you, please. And would you like to do a screen share so I can make you the co-host in that case?
Thank you, Chandraji, for your kind introduction to our friends here, and I'm delighted to be here today. So let me start with one thing. I frequently say one thing: democracy is like a baby. It would not end by just voting, right? We have to take care of it like a baby. Otherwise, the baby would be suffocated. We are responsible as global citizens for everything that our governments do after we elect them. So we, whether on intellectual level or at a general level or common man level, don't point out the anomalies that are being created in this world on the name of democracy needed to be pointed out at every time. Otherwise, we cannot revive the system in a perfect way, at least. So, having said that, I'm so humbled to joining the group today, and I'm learning a lot from all of you. I'm running on with a different mission, but again, these articles, this and that, I come across, but again, I breeze through those things, but did not get a chance to understand the nitty-gritties other than agreements like Paris Agreement, so on and so forth, on the environmental side so far. But I have another side of me also from my early career. we have to democratize everything. That's what I try to do wherever I work, because we have to have equal opportunity, equal law, and equal priorities also, so that we would make the machine run, whether it is in a private sector, public sector, non-profit, NGO, whatever it is. So we have to stick to those frameworks and push the drive in a way so that we all be successful as a team. This is teamwork at the end of the day, as all of us understand. So I really appreciate all of your efforts, me being joining as a junior and enjoying all these insights so far. It's a great learning for me, honestly. Thank you for the opportunity again. So coming back to Suraksha thing, I started off Suraksha 6 years ago. Being an organic chemist, worked in pharma, biotech, and IT industries. We are running businesses, but again, these businesses are not aligned with the environmental protection, and many of these businesses turned out to be profit mongering, no matter what. India's situation as a expat, the way how I look at, please excuse me if I say some hard words in this thing. Knowingly or unknowingly, we turned our nation as a service nation, unfortunately, after the independence. Yes, we need employment. Yes, we need companies. Yes, we need industries to set in here in India. But we missed a simple logic of, taking care of intellectual property that is built into the national wealth model within India. So we start piggybacking, with the industries that are coming out from the Western world, and we adopted. And here we are. Sometimes it is like mocking on our face. Remember, we all know about salt and, of course, coal to clean our teeth some time back. Colgates of the world came to this country and they said, no, 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 you guys are so primitive, you can't do that thing. And guess what? Today is happening. They are asking again, coming back to us, saying, do you have um, salt in your toothpaste? Do you have coal in your toothpaste? So the reason why I bring this up is we are so mesmerized, even though we got great education in that euphoria. I would say we don't know, but we lost our senses, and here we are struggling to revive the economy as we used to have in olden days, right? If we look back into Indian economy and the value of it, we are better than any other country in the world. Uh, I guess even after British and Mughals looted us. So, but something crazy happened in between. It even becoming faster even after our independence. Well, whatever happened. But again, my point is, let's learn lessons from the history and let's correct our course in this thing. And this is where we position ourselves, as Chandraji was explaining a while back. So we can handle these things in a way so that we provide our mature insights to the world through these forum and political forums, and come back to an idea, again linking with the environment. As we see, there wouldn't be a day go by without listening in TV or maybe in the news everywhere on the colossal issues because of the global warming, climate crisis, whatever you name it. So how do we intertwine environment, protecting Mother Earth? Well, we have to be honestly admit that no planet would be here, but we should not be thinking that there is a planet B out somewhere. We didn't find that yet. So how do we manage ourselves, and how do we encourage industries to come in, and how do we democratically, very legally, including bringing in the thought process like ecocide into the system? Because it is like, it is like a responsibility, whether somebody believes it or not. So we have to intertwine all these principles into our system, so that every small guy would have a voice, or would be fairly treated, irrespective of gender, irrespective of religion, irrespective of caste, anywhere in this world. So I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here, but again, I just want to remind. My intention is to remind all of us once again, how we deal with these things. Because for many, including myself, sometimes gets into an emotional situation, right? So this is hard to digest and speak the truth all the time. 24/7, 365 days. So this is character building one way, because we are about to motivate youth also. So unless we stand straight on our backbone, who else would be, right? We have to be little perfect ourselves, if not, and we have to be role model. We have to implement whatever we are contemplating for. In this juncture, how do we bring the so-called vibe? I'm not getting a good word. Diversity into our system, along with the talents that we have with us, and also those whoever are going to join us, are willing to join in the near future. So I believe basically, our Indian education system in the past used to be on character building. The Gurukul system, whatever it is, it's all about character things. We talked about Vedas, we talked about Puranas, we talked about Shatakas, all those scriptures, whatever it is, they are talking about the character. Not only in Indian Hindu culture, but also in the other religions. But everybody forgot about those things, and now started doing something crazy that gives them food, money, shelter, and clothes. Everybody is thinking it's the righteous way to go. But again, in this run up to that kind of attitude, we lost character bridge in between. So the river is flowing and our bridge collapsed. That's what I mean to say. So and the river always floods. So we need to be careful in building bridge, and passing to the other side safely. So we all believe youth is our future. It doesn't matter where we are. So how do we build these systems again, reminding them this is how it is supposed to be. This
Yeah,
is
Prasad. So,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt. Let me frame this question for you. That since
Mhm.
you say that the bridges have been broken, so we have lagged behind the challenges. So, is it an imperative that we must move faster using the current technologies, and especially the digital leverage, using AI as a tool to leapfrog,
Mhm.
to address the challenges rather than just regretting and ruining over what we have the lost ground. So how do you envisage, and especially what you shared, the Suraksha Center for Excellence, which targets 1 million entrepreneurs? So can we move to the brass tacks of what has been done so far, and how we can collaborate to further expedite it and
CV,
further
let's move away from
capitalize
these
it? Yeah.
bombastic numbers. 1 million on the women, all this bullshit will never work out. Prasad, I suggest you summarize your.
Both my
So, well,
Prasad, I think
well,
you need to summarize and have focus on the what, why, where, when, who, and how, or what Suraksha wants to do within a
yeah,
time frame. Don't take more than 5 to 7 minutes because you'll lose the audience. It has to be focused, you have
okay,
to be precise, and you have to get to the point. What is it that you'd like to
right,
do? Now, for example, last time when we had the discussion, we looked at the quantum theory, and then we brought it on to the reality of what we are facing today. Now, talk
yeah,
about Suraksha from the point of what the hurry as well as the urgency of the matter that is there today. Chandra Vikas, when he spoke 3 days back, he would not have yet heard Geeta Gopinath, and neither would have heard Ken nor the German Chancellor as well as Meloni. They all made their stand very clear. and it is actually pointing and going in the same direction that we had decided that day, that the UN Charter is gone and it is bogus. There is nothing that is happening over there. They have suddenly realized, like old from the fascist times when Neumoller had warned all the people that finally they will come and take you and they will destroy you. The same story is now happening to the world and the EU, and they have realized it the hard way, and they have started to fight back. Now, what is it that you can do? Keeping in mind that CV has actually given us an outline as well in your sphere of influence that you have in your initiative, your NGO, and the region that you're working in, which can mobilize and align with the requirements and the vision that has been outlined in the Vasudeva Kutumbakam document that Chandra Vikas has shared. Can you just focus
Yeah.
on that part and be focused, being able to tell this is what I intend to do, this is the way in which I want to do, and this is where I need my help. So these 3 points will
Yes.
actually allow the rest of us also to engage meaningfully.
Sure.
Absolutely.
So,
Thank you so
yeah,
much, sir.
yeah. Thank you for the comment. I'm setting the stage here to get to my point in a minute anyway. So, this is the situation where we are in. To Chandraji's take, we can work with technologies like AI, which is very good thing at this point of time. At the same time, my approach is 360 degrees approach. See, we know that we are in a situation, and we also know a lot of data points why we are here in this situation. So AI is very fascinating thing technology wise, but at the same time, in the countries, especially in the developing countries, um, there is something called energy poverty when you hug AI. So we do not have energy. We are going there, but we do not have fully established there where the West is having struggled to set up these data centers for
Yeah,
AI.
Prasad. But that's exactly where the wave function collapse helps us, reset
Right.
at every moment. So as
Mhm.
Sanjay updated that the German Chancellor and Geeta Gopinath and almost 100 people in the last few couple of days itself have written off UN Charter and the old world order. So what I'm
Mhm.
saying is that energy poverty may be a phenomena of straight jacketed national boundaries. So there may be energy poverty within those boundaries, but on the globe as a whole, there is surplus. We have lots more energy footprint. So, once we form Earth Federation, once we activate the Novel Earth Emergency Rescue Administration as per the Constitution, then, it's a very completely different landscape. So, let's
Mhm.
talk from that vantage point. Let's forget
Okay.
about, because I'm sorry to say this may be a little harsh, but NRIs seeing from very far tend to kind of be very condescending towards realities that we are actually grappling with. It's not that we are sitting idle here. We are over, I mean, all my lifetime, right from my MBA in 97, from 98 onwards, I've been fighting this battle and I'm winning. I've never looked back. I've never felt frustrated because there were milestones that I set for myself. The yardsticks that the society didn't set for me. I set the yardsticks because I knew
Okay.
better. So
Okay.
my point
So
is that forget about energy poverty within national boundaries. Let's take Earth as a whole.
okay, see,
Yeah.
we have to understand the fundamental cracks that we have developed unintentionally in our system also. That's my point. So I will come to this thing later part, but again, being service nation, when I entered US, my cost is $150 per hour. Now I don't even get $100, $10 per hour. This is how our IT systems transformed. What happened due to that? India lost a lot of money. That's how I look at this thing. You may be having your thing and you may think an NRI might be frustrated, but I am looking into the systematic cracks, how our people, intelligent people, fall into this crack unknowingly and bragging that we built an infrastructure like Infosys. How many intellectual property filings they have done year after year after their existence, say 30 years, maybe? How many? So this is the classic example that I want to bring into the system so that we can block this leakage forever. That's my point. I'm not derogatory. I'm pointing out to the systemic issues that we are dealing and not feeling yet. Okay, so coming back to this thing, I want to run Suraksha offering very specific pollution preventing training programs, like the way how we offer training programs for IT graduates within few days, maybe few months kind of stuff, so that we can re-engineer the idea of how do we generate intellectual property through these training programs all over in different segments.
So, in
So
a single word, what you're saying, Prasad, is that you want to actually focus on capacity building.
yes, workforce development.
Capacity building,
And
which will allow you. So let's just keep it to one line so that we know the
yes,
what, why, where, when, who, and then we figure out how the entire story can be done, because we need to
yes.
get resources together. Many people, other people
So
also will be doing it. You will need
yes.
to collaborate with them. We have
So
over here
I
amongst us, one second, just let me finish that. Venkat over here has built up a banking system which has actually gone across the world. He has a
Mhm,
Singapore registered company, and he actually offers services to be able to enable the entire banking stacks for
mhm.
financial companies, which essentially means finally, if you look at roti, kapda, makan, healthcare, and education, the entire story has to run with sustainability and finance as well, which has to be done at a lower level. You can't just
Yes,
expect anybody to lower their carbon footprint unless and until you give them options which allows them to maintain at least a part of their old lifestyle, as well as meet their objectives that they might be having in their society that they're living in. So
right.
how will you actually integrate that? Just giving a course and awareness, as well as not building the samvedana about the rest of the
Mm.
world, is not going to get you anywhere. So
Yeah.
focus on where you can actually build the bridges.
That's true. Okay, so different industries need different kinds of education in this part, especially invigorating entrepreneurship at the same time workforce development. We all know that without workforce we can't achieve anything. We can talk about anything without that. Without workforce we can't achieve anything. So this is the recipe that Suraksha is bringing into different industry segments, including how do we implement ISO 42001 into the makeup of AI management systems. If we don't have this kind of idea within the tools that we build, we are putting everybody in trouble. Our
Yeah.
mobiles are full of AI now. So if there is information security gap, lapse over there, anybody can steal our money, kind of thing. So these are all the
Right.
fundamental things that we want to fix through the educational program, so that we would run faster, and these programs should be affordable. A common man should be able to learn by spending some money from his own pocket, if their company sponsors, or if their friends and
So
relatives
where have you
supports
reached
him or
on this,
not.
Prasad?
Okay,
Is
Prasad.
your model
So
ready?
I see good value add in terms of defining the course curriculum. What should be the duration, who should be the participants, their eligibility. So I think that part is very well taken care of by Suraksha. Let's
Sure.
move to Venkat and understand. I think what Sanjay sounds is a very well grounded, problems identification, and accordingly, let's understand from Venkat what are the solutions being put forward towards the common denominators of peace, stability, and sustainability.
Yeah, let me wrap it up
Yeah,
real
okay,
quick,
sure, sure.
few seconds.
So,
So
yeah,
these technologies technology development and training programs um, would span up to ocean science. So what we are trying to do is offer education, develop workforce, promote innovation and entrepreneurship, and at the same time enterprise development in from a different direction, protecting the environment first, and create a new economy. Blue economy and green economy together offers 22 trillion. In my mind, little mind, India should get its lion's share in the 22 trillion, just like the way how we get in IT, of course, in biotech, pharma, and other industries. This is bigger opportunity for us. Originally, we are sustainable nation, so the train is on the platform. Let's embark on it and get this great opportunity and seal the deal forever. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prasad. So, from the previous sessions where we have heard you and your close associate, Mr. George Cummings, I think there is great value add, both in terms of very deep insights that they bring to the table, as well as lots of structure and lots of methods to the madness that that's going on in India in large parts, which you also pointed out. So let's hear from Mr. Venkat Reali about his experience on the problem definition, on why we are becoming more and more unsustainable, and we are diverting funds from stabilization and from capacity building to weaponizing everything, and wasting trillions of dollars there.
CV, because Venkat is coming for the first time, let him quickly give
Yeah.
a quick backgrounder of his what he does and what all he has done in over his career in the last 30 years, and where does he see him plugging in as a solution to be able to create a sustainable future given the unpredictability of today's time. He has possibly not understood not seen yet the document on the wave function collapse, as well as the requirement of being able to have a focused approach towards capacity building and building solutions. I would request Prasad to just work on the next part of this presentation only to focus on the how of the matter, as to what all is he defined as the problem that he would like to address, given that he's a mortal and he's got limited resources, and how what's the time frame that he would like to look for a solution in, because that will get linked up also to what Venkat, out of his experience, can bring in as solutions to solve these problems that Prasad might face in reaching out into larger communities across the world. So, Venkat, I leave it to you. Give a quick background about yourself, your experiences across industries, and your own thoughts about what and how you would like to involve yourself in the sustainability space through the solutions that you have evaluated and that you are working on at the moment and engaging with society. All yours.
Hello, everybody. I just got introduced, don't have much of background of the earlier discussions, but based on what Prasad Garu said, I have just to give you a background. I was a corporate guy like anybody else, and in 2007, I resigned and set up a telecom company spread across about 8 licenses into international roaming services. Okay, we were fourth largest roaming service company across the globe with 400 telecom roaming contracts. 2016, we collapsed as international roaming collapsed. Data rates went down from $12 a gigabyte to about $1 a gigabyte. Okay, and I mean, Cineverse did not survive. People with $1 billion did not survive. We were a small fry in front of the market. So big deal. 16, and I set up the same infrastructure, converting it into a payment infrastructure, removing the telecom switches. Operational support system, business support system retained itself, and set up a payments company, launched Bank of India's product. The Bank of India was the first customer. Then we launched financial inclusion services across 20,000 villages. So when you look at, I was just correlating what Mr. Prasad was saying, that we need to create self-sustainability. Sustainability per se is a nice word to hear, but the exposure required to create self-sustainability for a million, like 40,000 to 50,000 entrepreneurs is what have worked with me, with the average income of about 8 to 10,000 rupees within my system. Okay. Whereas the sustainability or basic sustainability needs about 25,000 rupees per month on a village level for creating a self-sustainable model. By the time we came to lending ecosystem through social lending, okay, where entrepreneurships could be created, there in 4 years of my experience, we have seen so much of change in regulatory. Okay, the change in regulatory was about 20 times, and all for good. It's just that coping up with such change with such large infrastructure becomes very, very challenging. It's too much of money to burn before you actually start to receive. Whereas UPI was free, all banks competing with each other for repo plus two, repo plus three, cost of fund to retailers and self-sustainable entrepreneurs were close to about 18 to 24%. So we went to impact investment groups like Samunati. There are a couple of international groups also. There were leverage problems in terms of impact investments. Okay, probably few of the successful impact investments have burned down close to $1 billion before actually they start to see profit. Right. So that is a challenge. Second, please don't expect any corporate help. The model that Mr. Prasad said, I don't see it value. For the simple reason that it is no different than another e-learning model. Sorry, Dr. Prasad, I don't mean to insult, but the intent is if you're talking about sustainability as a organization or as a NGO, if it is an NGO, then the value proposition has to be much, much higher. It's very easy to raise impact investment for such categories, but we have to be very, very clear that sustainability means anything above 30,000 rupees per month, okay, at the entrepreneur level, okay, that will create value proposition. Otherwise, we are burning hands. People who work with you would also not be satisfied. Okay, and the people who have put money to burn will also be not satisfied,
Venkat,
and ultimately will
30,000 is in the Indian society. Remember, we have a purchasing power parity of 5, which essentially means if you're looking at it in reality across the world, you'll have to multiply it with a factor of 3 at least for sustainability.
Sir, actually, let us start with one certain set of activity. Let's say we are talking
Prasad
about
is working in the US, unfortunately. So his entire NGO's metrics will be totally different compared to what we are used to in India.
Sir, he has an advantage rather than us. Being in the US, the advantage that he carries. I've lived abroad, so I understand where the NGO market comes from and what is the kind of money that can come in for sustainability, both in terms of social impact and also in terms of environmental impact. Okay, I sent you guys a small cover note for Claw, right? that that had close to about $500 million self-sustainable money available. Unfortunately, things started to get diluted. Otherwise, Tamasaki was interested to pay participate.
Venkat, no. Once again, this group doesn't know about Claw. That is a different group
Oh,
altogether.
sorry. Extremely sorry.
So just give a summary of Claw, maybe two,
Sanjay
three
sir has
slides
put
you can
me in so
share.
many
That'll
groups
allow
that
me to
it's
understand.
kind of very difficult to judge which group I am into right now. So, okay, Claw is nothing but a group of Faujis, retired Faujis, got together to create sustainable infrastructure across the high altitude. This gives you two advantages. One creates fauna and flora. Okay. Second, it also creates a lot of entrepreneurship ecosystem that can do education, that can do self-financing, that can do trade. There's so much of commodity that goes waste in this country because we don't have enough infrastructure to sustain that particular ecosystem. Right. So that was the model that I designed for them, and similar such models were designed for Samunati. Let's say, for example, you should actually read through just as a bathroom time pass, so that one of the models which you guys feel that, yeah, Ramakrishna, this is the model that we all can contribute to. Okay, I would be able to create an ecosystem around it with banks as partners, corporates as partners.
Okay. Okay, so on that note, I have a very specific, problem statement for you and a solution. So let's see how a ecosystem gets around this. So
Sir,
the problem is that we water flush our shit every morning.
sir,
That's the most wasteful, inefficient, unscientific, and also unspiritual thing to do. Actual thing is that using sensors and AI, there should be a mechanism by which we simply cover it with some fistfuls of dry soil mixed with porous mixture like dried leaves, crushed dry leaves, or sawdust or cocoa peat or whatever dry medium might have. So now there's a eco sand toilet which is UN validated. There's a funding from UNDP for this eco sand toilets. Now, in that, you have urine diversion. So, in the first part, the urine collects, and that is used as a raw material for generating urea, producing urea, or for generating power with whatever calorific value it has. Then to rinse it, you have a toggle by which you put some water, and that little water goes to a deodorizing plant bed. So let's say it's a multi-level storage, then you accordingly create this in the shaft area. So now in the second part, as you press your feet, the piezoelectric sensors open the chamber, you deposit your shit, and then you, after the act, you simply rotate a chute in which the dry medium is kept, so it sprinkles over the fecal matter, and you are done, because the soil bacteria start decomposing, and then you step back, little water comes for washing, that little water also goes to the deodorizing plant bed, then you get up and there is a wash basin in which you have organic washing medium, or maybe soil or ashes or whatever, which also creates mineral enriched. So there is no chemical contamination in the whole process. Plus the drum now moves like an elevator through AI controlled mechanism by which it has to go back through electric traction to the same pit from which the soil was drawn initially. Now, if we multiply this by at least 500 million toilets in India alone, or if we take it globally, now this is a multi-trillion-dollar proposition which can at once create more than a million entrepreneurships, more than 100 million jobs, just moving by a global mandate like Montreal Protocol, which moved from CFCs to HFCs. So similarly, we say that, okay, we completely mandate that no water can be used. It will be a criminal act if it is detected by random checks. So now, how do we bring the microfinance and the capacity building and the whole ecosystem around it? To manufacture those commodes, to create the soil pits, to make sure it is available in every area, and how the toilet itself is designed, how the deodorizing plant beds are designed. So now, just imagine, yes, that's one point. Now, once we've done this, then there's another second point I'd like to share later.
Chandra sir, this is my pure personal opinion. Okay. It is not practical. We have moved away much, much farther. Probably something that you're talking about today could have been done 20 years back. Today's infrastructure that you have.
Okay, Venkat, so let's make it interactive. Now, where I'm sitting in Indrapuram in Delhi NCR, the sewage is already contaminating my water aquifers. Now, if you don't call this an emergency from which I have to retrace and I have to mandate it, even if it may be draconian. See, the point is that, we want just convenient, like, I mean, I just don't understand. Indore, which was consistently top in the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan rankings for 8 consecutive years. And
so that
for
talks
several
about the
days
ranking,
it goes
Chandra
on.
Vikas, not about Indore. Indore has always been a fraud, like Delhi. The bloody
No,
problem
point
is
is,
that
Sanjay,
Chandra
the
sir,
data
Chandra
is
sir, I
that
will tell you the story
50%
about
of
Indore.
ground aquifers in India is contaminated with sewage.
The guy
so
who
what
won
is
the
the
50%.
discussion
President's
about?
Medal
What is the
on
discussion
Indore
about?
is school senior to me. Okay, how they got it is a completely different story, sir. That's a story which Delhi will never be able to do it because
Okay, so
people.
let's park this. Just assume that the 20-year part is not valid. As in, we cannot allow ground aquifers on which we are dependent for 90% of our water supply, both for drinking as well as for all potable purposes, for cleaning, for washing, bathing. So let's make it non-negotiable that we have to move from water flush toilets to dry flush toilets with a urine diversion. No, my point is that why is it such a stretch of imagination that the everything becomes a raw material? Now your compost that you're creating in the middle segment can actually be valued at a few rupees per kg. Earlier, your sewage treatment plant was draining lots of taxpayer money, and it was polluting all our rivers or our canals. Yeah, please. Can we just refocus? So what I'm saying is that let me bring another tool, Sanjay. This especially for you to now
No, no.
translate.
See, you had to cut down. There had to be clear boundary conditions. 8:15, I'm walking out. I got other meetings. What you need to be clear
Sanjay,
about
Sanjay,
is
1 minute. Yeah, that's
be
what. So
clear
let's
about
save
what you
on time.
communicate.
So I am
See,
going to share something called the
don't keep
Overton
on rambling
window.
around. There is a product design requirement involved over here. I have set up the Center for Climate Change in 2009. All these issues have been addressed with guys like PK, with Jhaji and all working, but he is unfortunately not able to convert it
No,
back into a
Sanjay,
project
Sanjay, one
document.
minute, 1 minute, 1 minute,
You
one
give
minute.
your
Let
problem statement. First, listen to me. Let there be discipline in the way in which we do anything. Okay? We have done this and deployed it across busties over here, and we know what the bloody hell are the problems that come into the picture. You can't just outline a system and expect that system to be put in place without having a proper pilot, without having a proper budget in place, and then a deployment. You will create the same screw up that this bloody Joker did in your Swachh Bharat outline, and create the frauds like Indore that have come into the picture, along with the hundreds of other frauds which will not emerge now because those so-called smart cities will never happen because the definition of smart city itself is wrong.
Okay, Sanjay. So
So
Venkat already shared on chat that he needs a white paper. I'm willing to share that
exactly,
along with a
please do that
presentation.
one on one
Okay.
separately.
Okay. So let's park this. Let's park this. Okay. Let's park it for further reflection, introspection, and coming back in next few sessions. Now let me share with you another big pain point. Which Geeta Gopinath talked about. Air pollution and its linkage to motor vehicles in use. Now let me just put the data points very crystal clear. Now in private hands, a motor vehicle is in use only 2% over its lifetime. This figure globally used to be 4%. This is the published figure by World Economic Forum. But after aggregator app and after work from home practices post COVID, this 4% has come down to 2%. So, what it effectively means is that for 98% of the time, a private vehicle on an average is lying idle and wasting parking space. And parking space is not just at the residence, it is also at the workplace and apportioned parking at multiple locations. Now, that is not the only point. The second is that in solo occupancy, mostly the occupancy rate is 20 to 25%. So in a five-seater, typically only one person is sitting or even on a, and this also brings down the load factor in public transport because there are too many people occupying roads. So buses become much slower because they have to stop and go because of the pick and drop. So they also have long winded routes. So this creates a complete lose lose for both. Now imagine using a data driven, demand responsive mobility as a service with a super aggregator app, like Bharat Yatri has come. Okay. We are talking to Rapido, and this is actually a sitting $1 trillion opportunity. And not unlike the earlier one, it doesn't have so much psychological barriers. Now, imagine mobility as a service with a super aggregator app where whether you make the requisition on Uber, Ola, or any other, it has to go through a middleware where the allocation must be done based on customer preferences of whether I want to ride cheap or whether I want to ride fast or whether I want, ladies only pool or whether I want non-smoker only. So what? Plus, I want driving options. I want so those things from a customer stated needs is create put into a value plan, and there is a market driven structure: platinum class, gold class, silver class, economy class. We create a special purpose vehicle and we buy back the existing private vehicle fleet. We retain in big cities only 10% because at higher utilization and higher occupancy rates, we only need 10%. We create counter magnets in smaller towns and villages. So with better connectivity, people are induced to depopulate, decongest the cities, big cities, and this creates an ecosystem by which India really explodes on the scene because India has demographic dividend and many other factors working in its favor. So now let's take this as an example and how do we build the complete financing and other ecosystem capacity building around it. Am I being clear on this?
Sir, do you think is this a self-sustainable model where you are piggybacking on a commercial ecosystem in terms of
So
aggregating the
Venkat,
goods to?
let me question your premise.
Sure.
So the roads are public. Roads are public. Now, at any point of time, the law of the land, the community has a priority over who gets to use the road. Now, you may be very right that it may be slightly unfair because they have invested heavily in driver acquisition and customer acquisition. You are right there. So they will be duly compensated. Plus, their learning curve, puts them ahead, even if we are putting customer preferences in the center, and which is again, aligns with all the natural law principles. So my point is that unless you are a very hard nosed kind of commercial guy, from a fair and honest evaluation perspective, you would not question the fact that I don't want unstable spike pricing taking me for rude shocks when I am stuck in a rain, or when there is an incident in the city and there is an emergency. So my point is
This is
that
purely a commercial game. This
no,
has
it
got
is
nothing
nothing
to do
called
with the
purely commercial. No,
self-sustainability.
if that is our standpoint, then maybe Donald Trump, the real estate baron, is right in every respect. If we have this vantage point, my point is that there is value creation if for even for a commercial player like Rapido or Uber or Ola, because right now they are only tapping a 2% market of the whole mobility. Bulk of it is in private mobility, private vehicle owned,
Sir,
and bulk
I
of
think there
it.
is a different game that you can play here. Instead of looking at people mobility, okay, logistics is a very large challenge in this country.
Venkat, I have spent 25 years in TCS and in Mastech. So let me tell you, let us not look sideways. I'm not talking about logistics. I'm talking about people's movement in congested city roads. And just like we had BRTS earlier, if you remember, then we are talking about high occupancy lanes, so that rest of the neighborhood is freed for cycle, for walking, and for ultra light electric vehicles. And coincidentally, the technology for that has grown by leaps and bounds. So unless we have too many blind spots, unless we are very poor on innovation, especially ecosystem innovation, since you mentioned building an ecosystem around new challenges, I would like to put it to you that instead of creating roadblocks, why don't you just take some time and reflect on whether it is fair, whether it will create efficiencies, with whether it will reduce waste, which can be shared if the pie grows bigger. Then, if the market for app-based aggregation moves from 2% to 80%, now imagine, traffic jams will be wiped out. Bangalore will lose its stigma of being, the joke in the town is that apart from work from home, employers must give option for working from road. So my point is that I understand where you are coming from, because it's like people like us. So I'm very familiar with, and I'm sorry if I am making any wrong assessment, but let us not become stumbling blocks to erasing traffic jams forever in the era of digital leverage, where we have two-way communication sitting on every vehicle, every moving vehicle. We have location, we have inertial navigation sensors, we have displays where we can give preordained trip routing from point to point. So all this put together, and see, this is how a mobile phone was built. If you understand the level of complexities that was brought together to give you a touch screen on which you could just scroll and get, if you are an innovation person, you will not miss this. I'm not talking about, anything out of the world. It is very realistic that India presents a golden opportunity to provide service orientation which create exponential value multipliers. on the AI infrastructure on which we have lagged China, because we don't have NVIDIA chips or its substitutes that China has done. We don't have a deep seek, but we do have a demographic dividend. We do have a service orientation. And rather than that be a liability or a baggage, can we use our service orientation to create user end value, which eliminates many of our albatross like problems hanging around our necks. Problems like traffic jams, problems like air pollution, problems like road accidents, problems like the very grotesque expansion of cities,
Chandra
because
sir, I have a hard stop. Maybe we should
yeah,
do it.
so no, we can see, the point is that we are having a serious conversation. If there is no seriousness, then there is no hard stop or soft stop. We can close anytime. My point is that the understanding that we have, what Sanjay introduced, and I'm also being a little provocative, because Prasad earlier talked about the Infosys of the world, and not that I disagree with him. This solution was given to TCS, given to Infosys. And then again, I was told, why don't you address fourth party logistics? The immediate, and why I may be responding so, strongly. I'm not talking about looking sideways. Let us face the problem that in private hands, a motor vehicle is literally like a white elephant. Maybe the white elephant is far more valuable than the motor vehicle in private hands. And we are stuck with that, just as we are stuck with the behavioral pattern that our shit needs to be washed down into the drain, which goes to the river, and then the evaporation, all the filth, all the stench actually goes to our nostrils. So we as Indians, and this perhaps my self-flagellation moment, that this is where the British or the Americans or the French did not allow problems to balloon, problems to snowball to such monstrous proportions that we have become a shame of the world in terms of air pollution in our national capital region and in actually most of India. We have become shame of the world in terms of water stress. We are 120 out of 122 countries. We have become shame of the world in terms of how polluted our rivers and every drain in the system is. And I happen to have grown up in a city called Bokaro Steel City for at least 20 years. Since I left the city, it did not have this problem because it had a city-wide stormwater drainage system, 5 to 6 feet deep, and all the water had a gradient. All the water, rainwater, would collect into a two-tank garden, the huge underground tanks, and there was a water filtration
Chandra sir,
plant.
your voice is heard, but what you're talking about
No,
is
Venkat,
public
I don't
infrastructure.
care whether. No, no, 1 minute. See, I am not seeking your sympathy here. I'm saying that there is a problem glaring at our face, and let us not look sideways. And see, we can.
But what is the issue? What is
Yeah.
the issue?
So in that regard, we have Srinivas Yerapottu, who are on the behavioral change side, who are on the spiritual side. We have Amit Agrawal, who again has written a book on consciousness. Now, Sky and Amit, can you help us, kind of unblock in terms of? Uh, I am very clear that private vehicles have to go, water flush toilets have to go, but there are mental blocks, and how can cultural and spiritual transformations help us, unwind and get us on the same page?
I think
No,
it is.
there's a timeout required here. 1 second. You can't work on a. You can continue just after I finish here, Shiva. The thing is that when you fix the story and then say this has to go, that has to go, and all without looking at an alternative and understanding what the other position and the other stakeholders' positions are, you are actually aligning yourself for failure, CV. So first,
Sanjay, no,
get in the
that is
no.
how
1 second. 1 second.
slowly created the
You
compact
have
disc.
you have stayed only in Bukhara steel plant. I have stayed all my life in army cantonments. You know how they are managed. Venkat stays out of Hyderabad and A.S. Rao Nagar, and we are staying in Hyderabad. Even now, the vestiges of the brilliant town planning that has been led by the Nizams and all, we are still beneficiaries of that, and we know what is good town planning and how to actually have sustainable ecosystems and infrastructure in cities and manage them as well. Even though the current political system has screwed it up, but the story here remains: don't assume that whatever you're living, everybody else is living through.
No,
There are
Sanjay.
multiple ways
Okay,
of
let's
solutions.
open it up. Let's open it up. I'll give you an analogy. Analogy is that they had a problem with ice cream containers. Okay, so somebody said, why not make a soft cone to hold the ice cream so that we can eat it up? Now, I've been my long time was in innovation, and we have a notion called orbit shifting innovation. And in orbit shifting innovation, we work from the position of being unimaginable. And Sanjay, there is a very useful kit, just like you have latched on to wave function collapse. So
Wait, I
please
have a
dig
guest at
deeper.
my door. Just hold.
Yeah. So for everyone, see, there is something called the Overton toolkit. Now, this was devised by the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency of the United States, which otherwise does lots of other things. But one of the good things James Overton, who devised it, did is that he framed, solutions into 6 segments, and he said that sometimes solutions may be unimaginable to most of us. So, how to consciously bring it from unimaginable to the next segment, which is called radical, and from radical it comes to acceptable, from acceptable it comes to popular, from popular it comes to policy, and then it becomes we start living with it. So this may be unimaginable at the beginning, that we can not have water flush toilets, though biomimicry would simply tell you that for millions of years all animals and humans have not deposited their shit on water. Have you seen any animal doing that? No, no animal does that. And we have no business creating conduits by which our shit essentially ends up in water, increases the volume, and causes evaporation, and it comes back to our nostrils as odor and stench. So my point is that let it be non-negotiable, just like the Sony chairman said that, okay, make it your compact disc of this size, and this called a stretch target. Let's work around this, and then only let's dismiss it. Similarly, let's make it non-negotiable that private vehicles are too many in the system. Who's so blind not to see it? So Sky and Amit, how do we get around this, behavioral changes, this deficit in our understanding of what is possible and what is not possible?
I think my entry is at the right time. Why? Because, in the many of the conversations and discussions, dialogues and deliberations, when you have a couple of people, the number of people can even be 2 people, or 20 or 2,000 or 2 lakhs, or even all the 820 crore people of the world. One point that we all have to remember, and maybe we forget, is that each of them are at a different consciousness level. 820 crore people, or even the 5 or 6 or 7 people here, are at different consciousness level, different passions, different objectives, different approaches to life. So I was observing this pattern over 30, 40, 50 years now, and I was knocking my head left, right, and center as to what to do. Because everywhere I see this chaos and confusions going on, and I felt out of the place. And I was wondering where at all some consensus and some solutions can be brought about. So I will give you the larger picture, and I will only request if anybody, and I'm also very clear about what I'm doing. but I wouldn't say that I'm full and final. I'm open for discussions, I'm open for suggestions, and open for ideas. But I will now give you the larger picture as to what is to be done. Now, with the technology that is available, it is very easy to collect data about people. The only thing is that they must be willing to give that data. Now, the next level, we take support of the technology and we work through the medium of data analytics and the support of AI. Now, the second step is there is something called SWOT. And if I use SWOT, there are some good words in that SWOT, and there are some uncomfortable words also in SWOT. The good word is strength. Yeah. The moment if I ask anybody, what are your strengths? You would love to tell your strengths that are really available, or you have hyped up and told about yourself. But when I ask you about the weaknesses,
Sky, I'm sorry to interrupt, just for the sake of time, could you connect your conversation around those two mental blocks? Like, why do we so strongly believe that our shit necessarily needs to be flushed with water? Number one. Similarly, how do we necessarily believe that
no, that
private
is
vehicles must be owned?
Chandra, as I was telling you in the broader picture about the variable consciousness, the moment anybody speaks about anything in this world, now suppose I talk about warfare. No, I talk about World War III. How do we do that? I will definitely find
No,
out.
Sky, see, in a
No,
decorum, let us
hold
not
on? Can
shift
you
the
just go?
goalpost. Let us
No,
talk about what are the what are the assumptions, what are the motivations, what are the deep beliefs around our uh, convention that the excreta, the human excreta, necessarily needs to be flushed with water.
that is what I'm coming to.
Yeah, please.
I believe in a world where there are matured people, semi-matured people, immature people, exposed people, semi-exposed people, or not exposed people, and so on and so forth. There are multiple categories. The moment you told about those, I'm 100% in favor of what you're talking about, for your information, which you might know. But then those people who have not done some element of homework in that particular area, or those who have not put in sufficient thought to it, they immediately come out with certain ideas which are based on the current mass practice, and that is where the mind is a king and a slave. It is a hero and a villain. And unless you are able to solve that element of problem to some extent on one side, and you find out those set of people who will be supportive to those thoughts, we just have to throw this idea.
Okay, Sky. Now, I actually see this objection from Sanjay and from Venkat, who had to leave because of the hard stop, as a generative one. As in, they are very right that this is the popular error, that to believe that human excreta, necessarily needs to be flushed down the drain. Now, my point is that let us not change the frame of reference. Let us talk about, that what are the sociological assumptions about, open defecation, for example, because this happens in nature. In
No,
nature,
again, what I wish
yeah.
to tell you is, I have no problem in what you're saying. I have no problem with anybody. I can understand why Sanjay has left and is focusing on some other priority. And I can understand the other gentleman.
No, knowing Sanjay, it is not true. I know Sanjay from more than 15 years, so it's not true.
No.
He had a call.
At the moment,
Yeah.
he's got some other priority to also attend, and therefore he has gone there, right? So what I wish to tell you is, in this forum, you have communicated something, and out of that communication, I'm 100% with you. Now I'm telling you, all right. Now it is enough that you understand who are the people who are able to understand, who are also attempting to understand. All right. Now, suppose if we are really sitting across and wanting to solve this problem and sit for a length of time, and there is a whole discussion that's going to go on, and nobody is going to leave this forum, then that is a much more
No, Sky,
useful
I
approach.
think you are getting carried away by again what we have discussed, the subjective reality. I am saying that forget about who said what. The objective reality of whether there is a sensor and AI based mechanism to very conveniently and in a touch-free way cover our fistful of excreta with just enough soil and then move that little diskette. That's not much, because if you not added water, the volume is very low. So now move that diskette through a shaft like an elevator, and then it is loaded on a electric cart. It goes back to the same soil pit from which the soil was initially extracted. It creates a kind of circularity. Now, I think this is, almost a no-brainer. The only challenge, I believe, is that we have been brainwashed that open defecation did the same thing and that was bad. So we have forgotten the element of biomimicry in innovation, which is very important. So, Sanjay, we were just waiting for you, and since I have the most exciting conversations with you, so let's play it sportingly. So instead of just blocking it, that I'm just saying let's park this. That we don't wash our shit down drain. Okay. And if you need few more minutes, let's hear Amit's perspective as well on just this particular frame of reference.
Hang
Okay,
on,
we have just 10 minutes.
Chandraji.
I need to leave after that. So what I suggest you
Okay.
do is that create a white paper that will allow us to have a more meaningful discussion when we meet again.
Okay.
Like what has been mentioned by Venkat Trali also. I think even he had to quit. I think he also was. I pulled him in at the last. So figure it out how you will actually do that, because he's a product developer also, as well as his father who used to be the director of technology, technical director of ECIL, and he has actually been brought up completely in a very scientific environment. He came to me for a few projects that he wanted to develop with the defense simulators and all, and he's working with them. In fact, I've introduced him to IIT Hyderabad, where he was just there day yesterday, and he's come back with the Japanese collaborations that are working on that entire side. And just to give you another input, Japan has actually created and given the inputs to DRDO and DRDL, which has actually been able to do that waterless loose as a technology. They have developed that, and the railways had tried it out for some particular time. I don't have the full case study as to why that entire story failed, because the intention of doing that
I have the
was
case
to reduce
study.
the
I
water
have the case
consumption.
study. That was IT Kanpur
Water consumption
technology.
being water being one of the most stressed resources that we are facing today, any solution that goes in being able to mitigate and reduce the water consumption, especially potable water consumption, will always be welcome. So good idea to start working on, but look around for what has already been done rather than try to reinvent the wheel. That is my only suggestion. And
I
whenever you
think
Friends, we can
both Venkat
hold
and
on, hold
you.
on, hold on, hold on.
Yeah,
In the
please.
interest of time, let's give Srinivas Kumarji to wrap up his thoughts and then move on to Amit. We can
Huh.
circle back on all those things. So
This
let's
particular
keep
point was
our
what I want to
agenda
discuss. You
clear.
guys can continue talking after this. So don't
Yeah,
don't
Sanjay,
reinvent the
I've
wheel
got
is
your
my
point. So
suggestion.
if you need to leave, I will get back to you with the white paper. Yeah,
Sure,
let's
sure.
hear Srinivas, please. Sky.
Now, can I continue with what I was focusing on? Can I do that?
Yes, please. Yes.
Right. Sir, let me quickly summarize my whole experience and make the following statements. We are spiritual beings in the human form, and we are not bloody human beings seeking spirituality. And that is the biggest thing that we have all completely forgotten. And this has happened due to many. The Western world looking more from the external to the internal, and the Eastern world, which already knew something to how to look inside. And this is what Prasadji has touched a little in his conversation. This is point number one. Point number two is The only problem in this world is none of the people have really paused in the world. Of course, I'm not ruling out the exceptions. Majority of the people in this world have not learned the art of co-living with differential consciousness. And this is the primary reason where every individual is fighting with himself, and individuals are fighting in the name of families, and individuals are fighting in the name of companies, organizations, associations, societies, NGOs, NPOs, and whatnot. And then you have these political guys, who get sold out, semi-sold out, and all that national level, international level, nexus games, and all that stuff. All right. Now, certain portfolios. Suppose you declare yourself to be a global leader. You're supposed to be a global leader for the welfare of the humanity. But you declare that you are a global leader for a certain small, selfish purpose of making America the greatest country in the world by hook or crook, without dharma, all this nonsense. I don't know why for this long many years, people are sitting and listening to that story, the bloody veto power which they hold, and all that tamasha that's going on. And I say that, okay, leave the G5s. I respect and salute the G5s. Why? Because they wanted to become the chamchas of America or whichever country, or maybe the G7 or the G20, whatever be that number. And what has happened to the rest of the countries? What a shame on their part. So the whole process was, they have, see, I always tell Chandra that I have the greatest respect for these selfish buggers, or the selfish guys, or the hyper selfish, or even those, who do the absolute remote controlling of the world. All right. Why I respect them and why I appreciate them is that they know what they want. They want global power. And they also, in their capacity, whether they're right or not is a different story. In their capacity, they feel that from oil they can suck and make money by managing certain countries and their leaders. And they know that they can pinch two countries and create war and supply warfare material. They can tell people that this is what is going to happen to your health, and therefore you'll have to use preventive medicine, or you have to put a goddamn vaccine and all that crazy stuff, and then make your money. And Bill Gates will put his nose into. I mean, I do not know how he entered into the computers, the computer systems, but suddenly he comes into the health sector also. And what is he actually doing? And is he actually supporting people, or he's want to make a quick buck out of that? So these are the things that are happening in the world time and again. Like how we are having a discussion here in this small forum. There are the United Nations discussions, there are the country level open discussions, and the bloody secret discussion. I don't know what are these bloody secret discussions that happen for the sake of the welfare of the people. What is the secret that you want to hold back behind the back to talk about the welfare of the people of the world? So like that, there are lots of anomalies. And the basic thing that everybody should understand is that we are not owners of this earth. We are just rather pilgrims, or just paid a visit to this earth. And our bloody life is only about 100 years. If if you're a little more intelligent, you can extend it to 200 years or 300 years or whatever. That's it. This is you're just a visitor here, and then you played the game. What is the very purpose? The very purpose of this life is, after all, to understand who you are. There's nothing more and nothing less. What I mean with millions, see, if the billionaires or the richest man on this earth was the happiest man, I will not be part of these meetings at all. I would have also followed the same route. But I have repeatedly found that the guys with the money are not able to be, of course, some of them might be happy or semi-happy or whatever. Exceptions can always be there. But a majority of them have got their own list of problems, whether they're the richest or the poorest. And sometimes It is the poorest. I see they're godam happy. I know the payment, the rag picker. I have a friend of a rag picker on the road. During COVID times, I was very worried that this fellow might die. And that was a fellow who was living very strongly and very beautifully. And out in the middle of the night at 2 a.m., he suddenly shouts one day, "Sir, I saw you, and today I'm very happy. Now I have a happy night's sleep." That kind of beautiful and wonderful people are there in this world. So to sum up and then just tell you the summary, I need a support from all of you that let us quickly use data analytics, AI, before it goes into the wrong hands and they make a fuck of all this these approaches. And before that, let us all join hands and create a system whereby we start, classifying the people as per certain consciousness levels. My hunch and my suspicion is maybe you can classify the whole world of 820 crores in about, say, 1,000 consciousness categories. Then from the 1,000 consciousness categories, you can reduce it to 750. Then you bring it to 500. Then you can bring it to 250 and so on and so forth. Okay. Once you're able to classify that, then one set of people will blindly and immediately understand what Chandra Vikas is talking. Another set of people will immediately understand what Sanjay Gadale is speaking. A third group will be immediately accepting what Prasad Jaladi is speaking. But just because you get those supporters and the chamchas, don't come to the conclusion that you are the greatest man on earth. Always allow the open discussion to happen. Then in the second phase, actually, Chandra is making an attempt to pull us all into the second, third, fourth phases in the very first phase itself. That is where Chandra is missing. I love him. I really love. I love all the 820 crore people in this world, including, I'm a very big fan of Donald Trump. He is the trump card with whom we need to change this world, right? So we need to see the positive and the negative. We need to see every dimension of all these people. Now, coming back to the subject, I need that support to develop this classification of consciousness on a war footing. At that speed, we need to do that. And then we can create the training systems, the support systems, whatnot and whatnot. But if I said this, Chandra will say that that's a slow process. There's an emergency in this world, and we will not be able to have the time and time to do all that. But sir, this Y2K and then doomsday of the 2000, all this we have been hearing. And I don't think this world is still very clear about when is this Kali Yuga getting over and when the Satya Yuga is going to. I don't think anybody has really pinpointed and really accurately known which day it's going to happen. So therefore, allow the differential consciousness, which is at a reasonably higher level, allow each of those players to do their part. And I totally appreciate, I'm a mad fan of Chandra. But my only problem is that, see, with Chandra, we went to the External Affairs Ministry, we have challenged the Delhi Lieutenant Governor, Noida Authority, 8 to 10 beautiful meetings I've had with him. I've learned many things with Chandra. But he will throw a bomb in between, and then people like me have to sit and do a balancing act. But what for is that balancing act? And by doing the balancing act, am I going to achieve? Are we going to achieve it? That was my only focus. So like that, I will not extend that element of experience with Chandra, and I thoroughly love him. And I think Sanjay Gadale also, we have bumped with each other in some conversations earlier. I don't remember exactly where, but I think we did not physically see each other, but then we did have some conversations, if I'm right, in the earlier groups. All right.
Okay, so now, just in case, Sanjay introduced to you in the earliest meetings. Sanjay introduced me to this group.
Say it again.
I was earlier with the Ganga movement with Sanjay. That was long back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yes.
I don't remember Srinivas having interacted with you, but my association with the clean tech as well as management space has been quite long because I'm a skill development as well as a management consultant. across domains.
So in some
And when
group,
I'm
we were
involved
texting. We were texting. We did not see each other, nor.
Where are you based? In Bangalore or Chennai?
And I'm most of the time I'm in Chennai.
In Chennai. Otherwise, in Bangalore? You shift to Bangalore
Well,
too?
I'm a little active in certain circles of the social media, and somewhere I think I bumped into
You
you.
know Chandra, Chandra Kanjilal, the Penukonda NGO for women empowerment.
Okay.
Okay,
Then
just because it's on
Ramakrishna,
recording,
Ravishankar.
we'll exchange the
I'm
numbers.
very big.
Let's
We'll
hear from
discover that.
Amit.
We'll
I have a
discover
very
that.
large
Now,
network. You just
yeah.
take my number down and send me a message. We'll catch up with you later.
Oh, sure,
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 I'll
In
sure.
do
fact,
that. I'll do the
Subhash
needful.
Sharma is also, in fact, is in my team along with Tomio is a guy where I've created a bridge between Japanese and Indian learning and culture through the Western windows and Eastern doors philosophy, which actually talks about what you have been given, what you talked about in just a summary model for the transformation of the world, which uses Samvedana to be able to actually understand, appreciate, and understand the concept of Dvaita, how it operates in everything that we actually do, which makes the world sustainable in the long term. Have a look at the paper that and the note that I created in the first two sessions. From there, you will be able to understand from where we come. So I need to leave now. I need to leave, Srinivas. I think I'm sorry I could not figure out what Amit does. We'll have to do it in the next
Sanjay, so why
session.
don't you just wait for a few minutes for Amit? Just a few minutes. Yes,
Just a
Amit,
few
please.
minutes for Amit.
Go ahead, Amit.
Wow, Namaskar. What an energizing session. Divine siblings, all of you have spent more time in this human machine. I've just spent about 51. Climate and the love for Mother Nature that you all exhibited, demonstrated is the highest level of dharma that we can experience and carry out in our lives. So you guys are amazingly awakened. You may not know, but I'm sure that you all know. Amazing, very, very beautiful. I also was a part of certain movements which were around climate. I've done organic farming with my own hands, done this in the Himalayas. Also, God bestowed me with a lot of blessings around consciousness. And I want to be very crisp. I also have a call at 9, so I think I'll surely finish in next 5 minutes, not even more than 4.9. I looked at all the problems of the planet today, looked at UN SDG. So once again, with great humble regards to all of you, amazing work. But I moved up from looking at climate and what Earth needs from us. We all know that we are travelers here for some time, and Mother Earth is the God which is sakshat in front of all of us instead of looking at statues. I figured that even if we look at statistically from various websites, WEF, UNDP, etc., the biggest problem which is affecting most human people, like humanity, is human conflict or manviya matbhed. 97% people are suffering from human conflict. Even in the World War I and II, human conflict had not entered inside homes the way it is today. So my personal journey and purpose of life is not necessarily focused at climate, though I said, and even if you look at stats, second biggest problem on the planet today is climate. So what specific work that all of you would have done, I'm very junior than you, with all of you, but you guys have done amazing work. I've sent LinkedIn invites to Prasad ji, Sanjay ji, and the other person also who's left. So kindly accept my connection. So I'm working primarily with in the area of human conflict, and to negate and mitigate human conflict, ekatmata or oneness is the first antidote. And Chandra ji and Shriji, Sky Brother, I love all of you. So we've met so many times in Delhi. So I'm working very closely. So I'm looking at infusing consciousness in two frameworks. One framework is primary education, because adults do not want to change. We think that we belong to a particular religion, culture, economic status, and choice. So cutting across, I thought after having spent about good 7-8 years towards trying to uplift, we are 8.14 billion people, 63% are adults. I have given up from adults. I thought primary education, and that to not going to individual schools and institutions, one must infuse the games of oneness, and this is what my body is doing currently. For the past 3 years, I've been working with Delhi government. And by work, after having tried a lot of collaborations, I thought it is very tough to create the ekatmata even amongst the awakened people. All of you are amazingly awakened, but we see the difference in the transactional approach whenever we execute what we want to execute. Somehow, I think God gave me this blessing, and I thought maybe let me figure out a way where I do not need a collaboration. As I said, I was in the Himalayas. There were some blessings coming in, some downloads do come in. I have a call with God today at 10 p.m. I'm going to sit for some time. So there are some games which are only focused on oneness or ekatmata, which have been already infused into the primary education curriculum for Delhi government schools. There are about 1,030 schools that so I'm not working with individual schools because that's way too much. So I think Sky brother knows, Chandraji knows that I was interacting with the earlier education minister and now the new education minister and CM, which does not require collaboration. These are costless and propless games which can be executed inside the classrooms, which are only focused on oneness or ekatmata. You all are awakened. You do not need to know that we all came from one single source. We are all one. We are connected. Any problem in any area of the world affects us as well. We all know what is happening in, for example, Sudan and the latest uprising in Syria. We all know how many countries are burning today. Till the time we have these atrocities, anybody getting killed, or dying of hunger, or any rape happening across the planet, we cannot live peacefully. It all affects here people sitting in Indrapuram, Ghaziabad, Hyderabad, Chennai, US. So my only effort is and the purpose of life is to infuse these games of oneness or ekatmata into the primary education curriculum itself, which till the last government had already reached about 4 states, which is Delhi, UP, Uttarakhand, Maharashtra, and even New York of US. So some governments had taken, had taken these games that I'm talking about, taught about 50 teachers in Delhi, and they had all just started to implement those games into the schools 3 months around. Then the government changed, and the new government took a lot of time, but my new work has started once again about 2 weeks ago, just about 2 weeks ago. So that's my area of work, which is not necessarily exactly in line with climate, but still it is the second biggest challenge on the planet today. The very specific work which Chandraji talked about, which Sanjay Bhai talked about, what he's done throughout his life, and what Prasad is talking about through the help of technology, amazing work, no comparison.
And education is a key. Chandra is aware of Father Edwin as well as the support that I give for both sociocracy and bureaucracy. You have Father Edwin in Chandra's network, along with one of the past professors from Columbus who runs Pratyek as an NGO, which is actually enabling children's parliament in both in sensitivity as well as climate change areas. I would recommend that you talk to Chandra and maybe have a joint session with brother Steve. That's his name, Steve Roca. Okay. And validate this particular program. I'm good that you worked with Kejriwal and Som and all. Kejriwal is actually, I think, Chandrika's ka junior hai na? KGP?
You're on mute. Chandra, you're on mute, brother.
Because Kejri is actually 3 years.
I worked with the education minister Manish Sisodiya ji quite closely.
Sisodiya ke saath kam hai. You worked with Atishi as well. We met them all here. We have invited them for talks and interactions in Hyderabad at Manthan. I'll share. In fact, if you just do a Manthan talk and search out for their names, you will actually come on board. I have shared my number over here. Send me a WhatsApp message. We'll link up after that. I need to take your leave right now. And Chandra, please introduce him to Brother Roca, Steve Roca, as well as Father Edwin, and let him be a part of our bureaucracy and sociocracy group, where children impact in education is the key. That is something that is actually parallelly operating, and that will go in to be able to help creating this work also that Chandra Vikas has on a larger plane. Because finally, anything and everything is done through the building of capacity, capability, understanding, samvedna, and knowledge. And that always the root has to be from education. All these are just symptoms, whether it is climate change or it is consumerism or it is behavior or it is anger, it is inability to work with other people. Finally, it boils down to time management and ability to actually understand and appreciate the other. That is where it is extremely important that we have deep listening skills and the ability to communicate after summarizing the entire story accordingly. Right? So you'll have to excuse me, guys. All the best. Take my number from here. Just send me a WhatsApp message. Everybody else except Srini and you or don't have my number. Just send me a message. I'll link you up. Okay, with myself.
Yes,
Thanks a
okay.
lot.
So
Thanks a
thank
lot.
you so much. We will be closing the session now. We'll hear from Prasad on the closing remarks. And what I was saying is that, in fact, Father Edwin was the key initiator for this campaign, which is now about 4 months old. He invited me to one of his weekly assemblies of PNPI. So, Amit, if you already don't know him, he's already in the group. So, we will connect with him soon. So, let's bring this session to a close. And the next session is tomorrow on 23rd
Mhm.
at 10 p.m.
Awesome.
Because we likely wanted some people from China and from Australia also to join in. So one session was kept in the morning, though it
Okay.
may be very late in the night for Prasad.
Hmm.
So let's hear from Prasad on summarizing today's
Yeah.
session.
Yeah. One second. As I said, I
Right.
have
Okay.
this session at 9 p.m. I teach chakra meditation in India and abroad. So I'm already 1 minute late. People are buzzing me, so I will have to leave. So, but thank
Okay.
you very much. Yeah, Prasad, I've
Yeah.
sent a
Thank
LinkedIn
you.
request. We must
No
connect
problem.
the way we can. Yes.
Thank you so much, Amit.
And thank you, Chandra. Full power to all of us. Let's change the world
Okay.
in whatever
All right.
capacity
Yeah.
that we can.
Okay.
Love you
Namaste.
all. Yeah.
Sure,
Thank you.
I'll be
Same
real
to you.
quick also. I came
Yeah.
here with open mind, with all these mature individuals here. All I expect here is listen to others. We are all at different stages in our profession, our ethics, and of course our work also simultaneously with different family backgrounds. This is this is an opening for me also to understand um, from which standpoint of view the others are coming, and I respect it. So we respectfully disagree and agree on certain things, right? So this is mutual. So let's be open-minded. Whatever I have said, I haven't said with the wrong intention, but I have to share my knowledge also, experience also in that way. So how I pursue my experiences from the other side of the pond, that ends there. So don't take it to heart. We should unlearn and learn. This is a journey for each one of us. So to be stronger and to be a better team at the end of the day. We may have different things, but again, I always end with this note. Even if we can't do it anything right away, I remember each one of us here, and if there is anything that I can contribute to keep them happy and be successful in a righteous way, meaningful way, I'm always their friend. So I would like to end with this note. So Sarve Jana Sukhno Bhavantu. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
one
Yes,
quick
please.
point before we close, Mr. Prasad. Incidentally, I also happen to be the global vice president for International Federation of Electric Vehicle Association. So whatever you were talking about, pollution control, and then the programs related to that, well, I would like to sit and discuss with you and see how to take that forward, right? Any other environmental improvement activities? We have a couple of groups which are also becoming proactive, and this year 2026 we can take them a little more forward, or rather much more forward. So I'll sit with you and discuss those matters. Thank you, sir.
Definitely. So I just dropped my number. Feel free to reach out to me.
Oh
That
yes.
number could be used for WhatsApp call also.
Oh
So
yes.
yeah, I work with a lot of intelligent people on electricity side also, energy side also from Austin itself. So I used to mentor at UT Austin also. So I have very good connections in this area, with a good balanced approach. But at the end of the day, we all have to, leave this planet, as you just said, to our next generation. No,
Correct.
that's important than anything else. And if we could leave this planet better than where we are today, I feel that we are real parents also. Thank you.
So that is where the urgency is, because by one crazy click, you end up into another war, or people get into groups and make it a world war. That's all absolutely foolish.
Yeah,
And
trust me, what is happening after when we push the button, send an email or, do a text message or a WhatsApp message, there is carbon footprint behind that too. Not many people don't realize, they
yes.
think that they are using, technology, they are savvy in this thing, that thing, but at the same time, they have no clue. That's why I bring this 360 degrees approach.
Beautiful.
If we leave one angle intentionally or unintentionally, trust me, after a decade, we are talking about the same nonsense again.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, thank you so much. Now, in my closing remarks, I would like to highlight two very pivotal things. Now, one, connecting on what Prasad immediately said about that digital infrastructure also has a heavy ecological footprint. The catch there is that if we are not at intervening at the policy level, much of that ecological footprint of the data centers and of the devices gets logged in. Our routers are 24 by 7 switched on. So what's called the vampire, power guzzling. So it's an imperative to get involved at the policy level. That is number one. It is not just about user behavior. Second point on Sky's concern, and I take it very heartfully, and yet I'm not going to budge from a particular stand that it's a good people who procrastinate. One of the bad habits that evil people do not have is procrastination. They always do things fast. They are always ahead of the game. Their intentions may be different, but bad people are always ahead of the game, and that is what brings us to the emergency. So let's be very humble to understand the fatal flaw of good people. Procrastination is the fatal flaw of good people, because we try to be too decent, number one. Number two, we try to do things piecemeal. The world doesn't work in piecemeal. Everything is interconnected, whether we perceive it or not. The third thing is that good people like to work in their silos because they want a very non-conflict, non-confrontational. So they don't want to work in larger groups. Now imagine which consulting firm in India, has grown big. Unless they are in some standardized, commoditized things like auditing. Even that requires lots of innovation if you go deeper into it. So my take is that if we really care to stop the Armageddon, the acceleration and the momentum is strongly against us. So unless we pull up our God force and, at times appear impolite, at times take the brunt of being called, autocratic or dictatorial, what makes things happen is that when you are also on board, the teamwork is very democratic. But if I allow only the procrastinators who would keep taking, donkey years time, and the bad people, completely overwhelm us, they lock us into positions from which we cannot extricate. So, on that note, a very humbling note for each one of us, that good people must learn, and that is perhaps why, as we hear in our stories, that Ram sent Lakshman to Ravan. Maybe this was the wisdom he wanted to pick up, that don't delay, don't wait for it, things to get worse. Okay, so thank you so
Absolutely
much.
right.
It's such a, yeah, please.
Absolutely right. This is one of the very big bad habit of the good people, being too polite and procrastination. Yes, you're right on that.
Okay,
Agree.
yeah. so it's very humbling because at times you get pointed out for being the lone ranger, or being the maverick and all that. Now I over time, so that's what I was discussing with Prasad also in the last session, that that's a standard recipe for change management, which moves through four phases. The first phase is indifferent curiosity, where your idea gets lapped up, and everyone is very excited, enthused about it. Then comes the indifference, then comes the hostility, because the vested interests don't want you to succeed, don't want the system to be changed. And then comes the what wise people have called the most dangerous stage, that you begin to be respected, and people almost start blindly following you, everything that you say. Then you have to have that deeper responsibility, that you don't use your leverage in a way that that moves you from your chosen path of moving towards purpose, towards everyone's well-being. So on that note, as Prasad was just sharing, sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kashid dukh bhag bhave. So, thank you everyone. Prasad, have a good day. Thank you for investing so much of your time. I hope it's been useful for you. I have had lots to learn from both you and George, who was there day before, and Sky. Of course, we are so close. We when I visit Chennai, I stay at his place, and we spend lots of time together to bond and understand each other.
I think
Though we come with,
I
yeah,
think
please.
we both have gone through the complete cycle of life, in the sense of laughing, fighting, discussing, having a booze, and every aspect that we could. Right.
Yeah, and I really
Same
look
here. Yeah,
forward
same here.
to
Yeah.
how
I even
Prasad.
tell people that I am moving into Vanaprasthasramam. No, I don't care anybody. I had my run, and here is the age of wisdom. Let's share it.
Absolutely.
Right.
So I really look forward to your visit to India, and maybe it will happen very soon if we keep this momentum going, and we bring things to a closure towards formalizing Earth Federation as a way
Mm.
towards peace, stability, and sustainability. Thank you so much.
I'll just give you a piece of thought, Prasad ji.
Okay.
Instead of saying not caring for everybody, this game is all about caring for everyone, but strategically deciding where to hit the shots without hesitation. That's the game.
Right.
That's
Right.
the game.
So that's why I chose Suraksha also, the ultimate care. If we translate it to English,
We'll
it
work it
doesn't
out.
matter.
We'll work it.
It's across universe. I would say. So
Beautiful.
once we get this grit inside, you are messing up with your own thing and also with others wiring also. You may
Right.
sound sweet to some for some moments, maybe some years, but it would come back and bite you. The karma siddhanta is so perfect that even Dharmaraj couldn't escape it. So let's go with that level of consciousness. Let's be honest, at least to ourselves, and then share the love and wisdom. That's enough. You don't have to
That's right.
agree or disagree with anybody, right? So we
You
have seen
can't.
that. Yeah.
One cannot escape individual, family, organizational, and society responsibility. And in your opening remarks, it's not the election time. You vote and somebody else. In democracy, everybody is responsible. I mean,
Yeah.
how many people are really taking that responsibility? So that
Yeah.
is where we need to really prepare the ground. And fast shooters like Chandra should go forward. That is in a war front. There are levels of operation. The first level, the second level, the third level, and this is how the warfare strategies happen, right? Similarly, peace missions also have to be very smart and operated in a
Yes.
similar style, where the fast operators will be there in the front, and the rest of them will be doing the back end work, and then still support the front end and also
Right.
protect the front end. So this is a
You are
game.
so right. You are so right. Once we get into that tunnel vision, we are messing up our own agenda sometimes. So let's be clear about those things. These are all great, wise words. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you so much. So, Sky, sometimes I ask myself, do I have the luxury, not to, keep ears to the ground and, move faster than how the system is deteriorating and, catch up. Yeah.
Very
Thank
right.
you. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you.
night.